Hi there, Lara here. I've got a sequence for the neck and shoulders today. So we'll do a variety of positions, all of which are useful for that area, particularly if you're trying to find a neutral neck alignment, and that's something that's challenging. So starting with the legs straight out in front of you, hands beside you, bending the knees, taking the feet together and the knees a bit wide. You're gonna push the feet together, push the feet into the ground, wrap the elbows around the knees, make a fist with one hand, grab that fist with the other. If it's tricky to do this, you can hold a strap, you can hold the fingers interlaced. There are many ways, as long as the hands are connected in some way. Squeeze with the forearms, press out with the knees, lift up with the spine. Think head forward, head back, but neither of which is extreme. You're not reaching too far forward, you're not reaching too far back, neutral. So if you're looking straight forward, you're looking straight at the horizon, you're not looking up, you're not looking down, you're not looking one way or the other. Fix your gaze once you've found as neutral as you can. Maybe focus on the upper arm bones. Are they pulling out of the sockets? Are they creeping up to the ears? Could there be more space for the neck? Concentrate on the movement of your lungs once you've found the alignments that make sense for you. Switching the grip of the hands now, making a fist with the opposite hand and grabbing. Try to use all of the toes evenly. Maybe you can think of lengthening the rib cage away from the pelvis. I imagine that my hip creases or hip flexors are dragging down toward the floor as the armpit and shoulder are lifting away from the floor without any lifting of the shoulder toward the ear. The neck remains the same. 10 more breaths. And releasing the arms, extending the legs, taking the hands beside you, sliding the hands back, and the fingers can be together or apart. Fingers together is usually more intense on the wrist, and you don't want your elbows to go wide or to go too close together, but think that the elbows are as wide as your shoulders. So a combination of squeezing the elbows towards one another and pulling the elbows apart, dependent on your body. And you can always look in a mirror if you're unsure for the first few times. Point your toes, lift your right leg away from the ground. And you might lift a small amount, you might lift as much as you can. It does not matter how high you lift, just do what you can. Press into the hands evenly, right leg, and then left. And the best part about this type of work is that it will become less difficult over time. The more often you work on core strength and hip and leg flexibility, the more it will come. Now the best part about this position is, regardless of whether you move your legs at all, you're getting a huge amount of benefit in the upper body. Now I'm gonna get you to continue with just a few more, but I'll bring myself a little closer so you can see the positioning of the shoulders a little bit more from another direction. From here, continuing with right leg and then left, hands about this far back as you bend. So you want your shoulders to be more or less over your elbows, and you're not squeezing too close together, not pulling too far apart. And that's the idea. We're not letting the shoulders lift, but we're finding extension. See if you can do one more with each leg. Good, and relaxing. If you feel too much in your wrist, you can fold the fingertips towards one another and then pull the fingers toward the wrist and then relax. All right, so from here, coming on to hands and knees, spreading the fingertips wide, maybe finding a little lift in the knuckles, taking the knees and ankles a hip's distance and tucking the toes under. Internally and externally rotating the shoulders. And then thinking external rotation of upper arm, internal rotation of lower arm. So the elbows are very strong and engaged. Not lifting the head as much as possible, not letting the head fall down, but right in the middle. Think a neutral neck for your body. Rounding back, tucking chin, pressing floor away, lifting gaze, lifting sit bones, looking up. Trying not to let the shoulders or the elbows move as you continue. Gaining control over the elbows makes a huge difference when you're trying to control the shoulders and the neck, especially if pain is present in the neck. Good, neutral spine, pointed feet, try to find a lift in the ankle, and circles with the hips. Think about maintaining the elbow as consistently as possible. Change direction. Stopping with the circles, tucking the toes or pointing the feet, whatever suits you more, up to you. Taking the right arm forward, not letting the shoulders change or the sides of the body change. Lengthening the spine, lengthening the neck. Hip creases lengthening away from armpits and vice versa. And then right arm going out to the right. Try not to lift higher or go lower than the shoulder. Think right in line. Upper arm bone isn't coming forward, but we're pulling it into the socket. We're broadening the chest. And then we internally rotate, so your palm is facing the floor, and slowly bend your elbow. Taking your hand to your lower back. And try not to let your shoulder or your chest sink, but think equal proportion of weight on both sides. Engaged elbow. Maybe your hand hovers above the back, maybe it touches into the back, depending. Hovering is a little more difficult. And then slowly straighten, palm facing floor, sweep the arm forward, and release the hand. Opposite side when you're ready. And remember, you could take a rest in between. Right or left arm, going forward. Slowly take it out to the side. You can always glance if you like. And then start to internally rotate so that the palm faces up. Sweep the arm back. Bending the elbow. Either pressing the hand into the lower back or maybe hovering above the back if you want it to be more difficult. Think equal length on both sides of the body. Equal length on both sides of the neck, not exaggerating the lifting of the chin or the tucking of the chin, but right in the middle. Slowly straighten the arm. Normal rotation, sweep it forward. And release. Good. Now bring your toes to tuck if they're not tucked. Bring your hips nice and close to your heels. Think of a child's pose, but with the forehead lifted and the toes tucked. And this is a preparation for dog pose. Not letting the shoulders internally rotate, but finding an external rotation of the upper arm, internal rotation of the lower arm to engage the elbow. And make sure there's lots of length in the neck. If you find your shoulders crowding the ears, create more space before going any farther. If you need more, you can lengthen hip creases away from armpits, keep a bend in the knee, and lift the knees to some extent. Not allowing the shoulders to come forward, but finding lots of extension in the spine, particularly the thoracic spine. Think about pressing into the base of the thumb and the index finger. 10 more breaths. Maybe you can find a more neutral pelvis here. Imagine you've got a little stick at your hip crease and you're trying to squeeze it and lift it up without changing the shoulders. When you're ready, slowly lower the knees, letting the feet point, bringing the hips nice and close to the heels, and then a few options here for more or less difficulty. You can rest the palms, not letting the shoulders crowd, but finding space in the neck. If you need less, you can stack fists or palms under the forehead, or have a block under the forehead, like this. Either medium height or low height, but we want to try to avoid the shoulders coming toward the ear here. If you're wanting more, you can have the blocks at low height and just the fingertips on the blocks. Not letting the shoulders crowd, but creating space between those upper arms, pulling them apart, and finding a balance between pulling the upper arm bones into the sockets and reaching them away. No tension in the neck. Thinking about lifting the fingertips up, lifting the palms up. So there's just a slight weight in those fingertips, or as light as you can. 10 more breaths. And remember, you can take any variation you like. You could go palms flat on blocks. And as I said, you can support your head in any way you like. Traditionally, child's pose, we support the forehead, but there are variations where we have the opportunity to have the head lifted if we're looking to stretch the shoulders more so and create more strength in the neck at the same time. Now slowly come forward onto your hands and knees. Have your feet and knees at hips distance. Stretch the right toes away from you and then the heel. Stretch the left toes away from you and then the heel. Good. And then from there, tuck your toes under, walk your fingertips towards your knees, lift your knees. Take one hand behind, other hand behind to come onto the seat. Bring the feet a bit forward, bring yourself a bit forward. And then from here, extend the legs, hands beside you. And then we're gonna cross right leg in front of left, walking the feet wide. Now we're looking to find flexion in the ankle here, so we don't want our ankle bones falling towards the floor. We want to try to flex the ankle and lift the abdomen. Think about pulling the femurs into the hip sockets and lengthening the spine. Pardon me. Fingertips touch shoulders, forward circles with elbows. Think about not letting the thighs move, but keeping them as still as you can. Good, and backwards. Think about the rib cage staying as still as possible, drawing the front ribs together and back. Maybe even sliding that back rib cage up away from the pelvis. Good. And then elbows down, elbows up. Trying to keep the joints in line as best you can. Good, and then elbows together, elbows apart. And then release the hands. Now let's touch the palms in front of the chest. Abdomen lifting, chest lifting. Pull those femurs in firmly, not allowing one femur to move and then the other femur to move, but rather twisting to the right, twisting to the left without the pelvis changing at all. Thinking about sliding the right ribs to the left as you go left, sliding left ribs to the right as you go right. As you go to the left, you have to pull that right femur back to maintain neutrality in the pelvis. A little more weight in that right hip as well. As you twist to the right, opposite is true. You have to pull the right femur a little bit back. Depending on your body, you might need to pull both back. Good. Once again, going to the right. And if you want at any time to bring your hands to the floor, feel free, or to the knee, feel free. It's just a little more challenging if you don't use your hands. And back to the other side, last one. Make sure your sides are even. Good, and then back to center, releasing the hands. Now press back of right hand to the lower back, fingertips on the left knee, lengthen the spine, pull those femurs in, twist towards your right, maybe back of hand travels to waist, maybe left hand travels to right knee, as you fix your gaze beside you, or maybe behind you. Unwinding, back of left hand behind you, lengthen the spine, think ribs together and lengthen up. Hand stays on right knee, start to twist towards the left, maybe the back of the hand slides toward the waist, maybe your right hand travels to the left knee. Equal length on both sides of the torso, equal proportion of weight in the hips as you twist towards your left. Fix your gaze, maybe your neck turns, maybe it doesn't, depending on how your neck feels today and how the shoulder alignment is. You want those upper arm bones to be equally inserted into the sockets. No asymmetry in the collarbones or the upper back. Facing forward. Once you're facing forward, lift your knees slowly. Bring the right foot forward, the left foot forward. Straighten out the legs, move the ankles. And then bend your knees. Left leg in front of right. Walk the feet wide. Try to lift the ankles if you can. Abdomen lifting, chest lifting. And then two options for this next one. For more difficulty, you can have your hands squeezing blocks like this. Okay. For less difficulty, you use fists. So I'll show you a few with both. Just trying to find a spot where those will not get hit. So thumb on the inside for more. Backward circles. And you can make your circles as big or as small as you like. Just focus on not moving the rib cage. Think about the rib cage staying very, very still. Good, and keep going with those backward circles. If you're keen to try something a little more tricky, you've got the energy, and you happen to have a couple of blocks, then you can do the same thing with blocks. And this generally will maintain the wrist a little bit more, with a little bit more stillness rather, so that you will be isolating the movement more to the shoulder. Now, regardless of what you're up to, going forward with the circles now. So either using your blocks or fists. And you can do thumb on the inside or thumb on the outside, whatever suits you more. Think about isolating the movement to the upper arm bone, to the humerus bone. Good. And then releasing the arms. Taking your twist again. This time imagining you're hugging a bit of a tree. You've got a slight bend in the knuckles, a very strong spreading of the digits. Same with the elbows. So there's a slight bend, a slight hugging, and then the upper arm bones are pulling in and lifting. Keep the pelvis very still, twisting right, twisting left. Next time you go to the right, holding there. And again, optional, either maintain as you are, which is more difficult, certainly, or fingertips can rest if you need less. And then over to the other side. Pull those femurs in, lengthen the spine. Upper arm bones aren't pulling out or in, they're right in the middle. And back to center, releasing the hands if you haven't yet. Now from here, bringing one foot forward, bringing the other foot forward, extending the legs. I'm moving the ankles, a few circles, both directions. Flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. Good. And then bending your knees, rolling over the toes. One more exercise in tabletop, and you can do this one with blocks if you have them. Fingers wrapping around the blocks. And if you don't have blocks, you can do the same thing with your hands on the ground like we did in the first version. Abdomen lifting, chest lifting, right arm reaching forward. Equal length on both sides of the body. O to the right. Internally rotate, and then sweep that arm behind. Slowly straighten, palm facing floor, bring the arm forward and bring it down. Let's repeat, same on the other side. Arm extending, block, no block, space for the shoulders and neck. Over to the side, internally rotate, bend the elbow, take it behind. Remember the hand hovering is harder if you'd like. Lengthen, and then take it out. Rotate normal. Bring it forward, release. Perfect. And then from here, sitting on the shins one more time as we did earlier. You can sit on height, you can sit directly on the heels, whatever suits you more. Now I'll show this one from the front and from the side. Right arm coming up, left arm coming out. You're gonna internally rotate the top arm, externally rotate the bottom arm, and then bend. Now normally for this one, we try to grab our fingers like this, right? But in this version, we're not trying to grab. What we're trying to do is resist the urge to bend into the spine and then see if we can hold the hands separate and maybe even hover the bottom hand, especially away from the back a little bit. Abdomen lifting, legs squeezing. Try to simultaneously reach the fingers together and the elbows apart at the same time. Try to pull the shoulder blades apart. Try to pull the collarbones apart as you draw the abdomen in and up. 10 more breaths. And slowly release. Palms facing up, shoulder heads, let them drop. Right ear to right shoulder. Strong elbows, left ear to left shoulder. Back to center. Now, left arm coming up. Internally rotate, externally rotate, sweep it back. Either grab the fingers, and you can do that at first if you like, but don't let the ribs move. And then see if you can release them and hover without actually touching your back. Now this is more difficult, but well worth the effort, especially if you have a mixture of mobility or hypermobility or mobility in your spine and tightness in the shoulders or neck will help to mitigate that and create a little bit more ease within your joint structure. Just a few more breaths. And generally, if you're right-handed, this side will be significantly different. So try your best to hold for the same length of time. Even if you have to take a break and come back to it. And then release slowly. This time, work the fingers towards you, palms away from you, shoulder heads are dropping right ear to right shoulder, broadening the chest, left ear to left shoulder, back to center, release. Big inhale, big exhale. Now make sure you take a significant amount of time for Shavasana. 7 to 10 minutes is ideal. Take care.